Hey, Dreamy here, and today I'm going to be talking about part 2 of this year's worldwide download celebration in Dragon Ball Z Dokkan Battle, the heated showdown campaign. For part 2, they dropped 2 LRs who, I guess I'll break them down before I go into the main topic of this video. It's going to be Super Saiyan Gohan, as well as Legendary Super Saiyan Broly, both from Broly's Second Coming. Now, I'm going to be breaking down these characters. I'm going to talk about why they're meta, because they really are, and just how good these characters can be in terms of usability, because they're not just some filler LR. They definitely have value as a worldwide download celebration character should. But I'm also going to be talking about my advice as a free-to-play player, why you shouldn't really summon right now. I'm not saying that these characters aren't worth summoning on, but I do think that timing is a very important aspect as of right now, in terms of the general timeline that we already have, that we already know of for the Dokkan Battle, roadmap moving forward into the future. So let's just break down the kits really quick. Gohan has a 200% lead for Kamehameha, which I guess the category could use. It simplifies team building, like I've said in previous videos. And the thing that I really do find interesting is not only the Dragon Ball mechanic on the standby, but Gohan also has this ability where he just gets additional supers kind of easily, and I guess that really helps create a much more straightforward process when you're trying to build the character with the hidden potential system. So he gets additional supers when certain conditions are fulfilled, and that really helps so that you can just build him for crit. And even if you miss crits, the big damage dealing skill for Gohan is obviously going to be the finish skill. And he has 3 versions. He has the regular Kamehameha by himself, the Brotherhood Kamehameha with Goten, and the Family Kamehameha along with Goku. And obviously this last one is a lot more difficult to activate, because it requires you to get all 7 Dragon Balls, and it's very RNG dependent. There is definitely a luck aspect to it, because if the key field sucks that badly, it may not even happen. It's obviously, it comes down to chance, and there is a kind of balance between you getting Dragon Balls and getting the proper key for your characters as a kind of factor to consider in each fight, in every single fight that you throw this Gohan in, especially in much more difficult content, where performing the correct super attack can be the difference between you dying and you moving on to the next turn. This Gohan is effective against all types when the maximum version of the finish skill is activated, which really helps, and it can definitely cover when this Gohan doesn't actually trigger crits. The thing that I do want to highlight with this Gohan is that defensively, Gohan's already really strong and has the same amount of key coverage as Beast Gohan, which is why a lot of people are talking about this Gohan being number 1, a possible contender that rivals Gohan Beast. Crazy how it's now going to be Gohan Battle, Dragon Ball Z Gohan Battle, because people like to make jokes about that with Legends. And we're seeing 2 LR Gohans, STR by the way, both of them, actually being able to dominate the game. And one thing that I do want to highlight with this Gohan, again, sorry for the detour there, that tangent, is that this Gohan actually has a kit that allows him to adapt to certain situations. When you're in a pretty secure spot, you can see that he gets the ability to have attacks effective against all types. Sorry, I'm tripping over my words here. Going kind of quickly, so I'm sorry if I do kind of struggle mentioning these really important phrases, but his attacks become effective against all types when his HP is 77% or more. And this obviously means that whenever you're in a secure position, Gohan switches to an offensive playstyle that allows him to deal more damage. But whenever you're backed against the corner, whenever the tides start turning against you, he obviously has the ability to evade an enemy's attack, having a high chance, obviously less than a great chance, but it's still existent. It's still a real chance to dodge strong attacks. That could be the difference maker between you dying and once again moving on to the next turn. On top of that, Gohan's ability to guard is really accessible, because it's only when there's another another Kamehameha or Earthbred fighter ally. So it does really help. It does give him that extra defensive ability. On top of that, if you want to talk about defense, you gotta move on to the post-standby Gohan. So while his standby skill is active, he has a bunch of defensive mechanics that allow him to basically take 0 damage for the entire duration of this, effect while this skill is active. Because first off, he has a 77% damage reduction when all allies on his team are superclass, which is basically going to be always, and it's going to be constantly active, because why would you be running Gohan on an extreme class team? And it doesn't even have to be the entire team, it just has to be the allies that are attacking in the same turn. And on top of that, he also gets 50% defense when receiving an attack per key sphere obtained, which means that if you get, I don't know, let's say for example you get 8 key spheres, then you're going to get what, 400% defense, which is crazy, which is absurd. And it's, I don't know, like that's kind of tough to describe just the magnitude of that ability, because it's taking the standby skill of Super Saiyan 3 Goku and Super Saiyan 2 Vegeta back then when they initially released to a whole new level, and it's a much more modern take on that ability. It's just defensively so much stronger, and he also gets additional attack when, you know, popping the finish skill, obviously, because you want it to hit hard. So I guess the balance between offense and defense that you can see with this Gohan is something worth highlighting. It is just something that really drives this character. It basically makes the entire value of the character. The reason that Gohan is so good is because of that balance between offense and defense. High offense and consistent defense is something it's everything that a good character needs in order to compete against the tougher bosses and really strong enemies. I don't think I should just be focusing on one of the highlighting leading characters for part 2. I think Broly deserves some attention as well. Here you can see that Broly doesn't actually have any kind of transformation. He just has a domain, a molten lava of Not Today Village, that's made for uncontrollable power. You can see that on his passive as well, Broly is definitely designed to be a character that's helping uncontrollable power characters. It's for that team. He's basically made for it. And as a leader skill, he also has that much more complex 200% leader skill, which I guess adds to his flexibility, but it does make team building a little bit more complicated. First off, the thing that really caught my attention with this Broly is it's actually in the first sentence of the passive. Extreme class allies defense plus 40% for 4 turns from the character's entry turn. And that may not sound very impressive, especially when in certain pieces of difficult content, there are more than 4 phases, so even if you one turn every single phase, you're gonna get stuck facing a really strong boss and not having this defensive effect active, which, you know, it's not always the case, but that does happen from time to time, especially with, like, say for example, the boss rush of the movie Red Zone. I guess that is one of the examples there. Obviously the effect won't be active by that point, but this Broly is very clearly designed for utility and support, not for offense, and even then, Broly can still do a ton of damage. Here you can kind of see that Broly has a lot of defensive abilities, you know, guards, all attacks, revives when the domain is active, and the way you pop the domain is by using the active skill, dealing damage, and having the domain active for 3 turns, you can see right here. But Broly basically provides so much for his team, for the uncontrollable power team, because at the bottom there you can also see uncontrollable power uncontrollable power category allies, attack and defense plus 60% at the start of the character's attacking turn, starting from the turn in which the character's revival skill is activated. So he's basically supposed to be the defensive, revive, utility providing character for uncontrollable power, and ideally should be used on a full extreme class team. Obviously, if you're asking me, I'm obviously going to be putting this Broly on a movie boss's team, you know, that kind of thing. I guess Legendary Existence, he should be included on that as well, yes. And I guess there are a couple of other teams like Planetary Destruction and Uncontrollable Power, of course. Obviously, this character does provide a lot of value in that sense, and him being able to kind of revive and providing this utility for his team, it makes him age a lot better, because power creeping DPS characters is not an uncommon event. It happens very often, especially with each celebration, because if DPS characters remain the same strength for like a year, then there's really no reason to participate in every single banner. And so DPS characters are constantly being power crept. The bar is being set higher and higher and higher in terms of damage. But when you're talking about utility, when you're talking about defense, it is something that's a lot more difficult to power creep, especially when you're already combining that with a revival skill as well as a support effect through a domain, like with this Broly. And so I guess from there you can kind of say that Gohan and Broly have their own niches, they fulfill their own roles on their own teams, and in my opinion they definitely provide a lot of value. It's a role that is really necessary, and it's something that is going to be required for a really long period of time. But here's why I don't think that summoning for them now is a good idea. I think a lot of people have been talking about this Gohan, singing his praises, because he is contender for #1 in the game. Because of that, because of his ability, his defensive capability on top of his offensive power that is just so... It's obviously unbalanced in the sense that it's really overpowered, but it's balanced in the sense that you get both of it on the same character. So even if this Gohan is doing a lot of damage, you're also not going to see him fall down or fall back because of having weak defense. And in turn, that does make him really, really strong. And same for this Broly. This Broly, despite being a defensive wall for his team, providing support and a revival, he's no pushover, and he can still do a lot of damage even with his regular super attacks. But the reason I don't think that these characters are worth summoning on right now is because we're getting closer and closer to the 10th anniversary. And the timing on that may not be 100% certain, but considering that it's probably going to coincide with the full global sync, I don't really think that it's a good idea to summon on them right now, especially when all of the anniversary banners in the past always feature the worldwide download celebration characters on those banners. And obviously, right now you have a better shot of really pulling the characters because they're featured. It's their banner, whereas when you're waiting for the 10th anniversary, you're obviously going to be going for the 10th anniversary characters on top of these guys as well, which means that you may not be able to pull all of them, and you may miss this Gohan again, or miss this Broly again, because you managed to pull the 10th anniversary character and you missed these guys, which would be a shame because, again, they do provide a lot of value for their teams. But in my personal opinion, I am a free-to-play player, and I've already saved up, 568 Dragon Stones. I think that, I personally suggest that it's much better if you just hold on to your Dragon Stones, because a lot of times the people who complain about not having Dragon Stones, by the time the 10th anniversary drops, or by the time any really big celebration drops, are the people who spend just ridiculous amounts of Dragon Stones really early on, or have that kind of plan on spending their Dragon Stones on their budget really poorly planned out, and in turn, they end up missing out on the really important characters. And again, I'm not saying that these characters aren't important. Oops, that's the hidden potential button. I'm supposed to click this one. And I'm not going to say that these characters aren't important. They fulfill such important roles for their teams. But what I am saying is that right now, we don't have a shortage of really strong characters. Right? If you want to do like really tough stages that require extreme class characters, you're going to need this Broly, and if you don't have him, if you don't have this Broly either, then you're probably not going to be able to do it. If you don't have Cell Max, you're probably not going to be able to do any of that. But, and I guess that does create a kind of FOMO, because you want to be able to earn back a lot of Dragon Stones through the events and the new missions that are being released in this celebration. A lot of people really want to have those really strong extreme class characters so that you can clear the extreme class missions that you're going to see in the future, or even right now, in order to get back a lot of Dragon Stones and start saving up for the anniversary. But you can save up for the anniversary without needing to participate in that, and there are a lot of other events that you can actually do in order to get Dragon Stones. I'm hoping that you haven't really cleared, the viewer, haven't exactly cleared all of the stages in the game, because at that point, what other choice do you really have? Like, where are you supposed to go for saving Dragon Stones? But I do believe that the majority of players don't actually have everything in the game cleared, and definitely have the opportunity to get back Dragon Stones on other events whenever the situation really requires you to. And so again, while I don't think that this Gohan or Broly are the bad characters, I think they're amazing, I think they're insane, and I definitely don't want to debate the idea of them being top 1 or just amazing in the game, because they're really good, and it's not something that's really debatable. But I don't really think that summoning on them right now is a really good strategy, especially if you're a free-to-play player. I think for people who are like mid-spenders, high-spenders, whales, who cares at that point? You throw all of your money on to the worldwide download celebration because the characters are just that good. But for free-to-play players, the ones who don't actually spend money on the game and need to manage Dragon Stones properly moving forward into the future so that you can spend it where it really counts, really make your savings count with each summon, I think it's ideal that you kind of hold off on that and not really summon directly. And I've already talked about this in a previous video, but I don't really think it got the reach that I was hoping for. And so I guess I'm repeating this topic in the hopes that it reaches a larger audience, on top of me talking about these characters as well, because they're worth talking about. And yeah, I think that's gonna do it for this video. Let me know in the comment section down below what you think. Do you think that this Gohan is worth summoning on right now? Personally, if you may think that it's a very controversial opinion that I'm saying here, and you may disagree with the sentiment that I'm giving off in this video, but I do stand by it, and I don't think that right now is a really good strategy to kind of spend all of your Dragon Stones on these characters, because there is a non-zero chance, and actually fairly high chance, that these characters, all of the characters that are releasing right now, are going to get power crept by the units that are releasing on the anniversary. Maybe not the extreme class ones, right? Maybe not Broly. Either of the Brolys. I think they definitely will age better, because the release frequency for extreme class characters are a lot lower in comparison to super class, and that is obviously a factor worth taking into consideration. But I do think that power creep is a very real thing in the game, and it's only going to get realer as you reach the 10th anniversary mark, which is why it's better to save your Dragon Stones and spend them on a character who can really create a large gap with the rest of the game, which is probably going to release on the 10th anniversary. I'm crossing my fingers that the character who's going to be featured there isn't going to be entirely disappointing, but let me know in the comment section down below if you agree with what I'm saying, or, you know, if you're also saving up for the 10th anniversary, if you already spent your Dragon Stones and really disagree with what I'm saying because you're enjoying your time with Gohan, both Brolys, as well as the other Broly movie trio, just let me know in the comment section down below. If you have any other criticisms, any other opinions, I'd love to hear from you, and I'm definitely out there to really respond and start a conversation, because that's what the comment section is really for. Make sure to leave a like on the video if you did enjoy it, if you enjoyed my breakdown of the characters, even if I may have been going a little quick, I may have tripped up on a few words, and I may have skipped a few aspects of the character, because again, I don't have them, because I'm saving my Dragon Stones, so I don't have them. I'm taking a risk, and I'm counting on the 10th anniversary banner being amazing, but because I don't have them, I'm completely acknowledging the fact that there may be a few aspects of the character that I'm glossing over, so feel free to point that out to me in the comment section down below. And like I said, leave a like on the video if... Have I already said that before? Leave a like on the video if you did enjoy it, and make sure to subscribe to see future videos, because I do have a few videos planned. Actually, already have a few made and edited, just need to be uploaded after the fact. I've just been working with a very tough schedule. I'm hoping that I can not only discuss this part 2, but also talk about the past characters that I've never really had the chance of discussing. But yeah, I think that's gonna do it for this video. Wait, no, let's end on Broly. We started on Gohan, let's end on Broly. Bye, and thanks for watching.